I always thought I knew Lauren. She's been my wife for 8 years. In all that time, I'd watched her laugh, tease, and light up every room she walked into. People called her magnetic, but I thought of her as mine, ours, really. I never questioned how others saw her. I never worried about the way her smile turned heads or how coworkers lingered a little too long in her presence. That kind of confidence, I admired it, loved it. Even at the annual company gala, I was actually excited for once. I don't usually enjoy those events. I prefer quiet dinners or movie nights at home on Sycamore Court in the suburbs of Atlanta. But Lauren insisted. She wore a deep sapphire dress that somehow made her look both elegant and playful at the same time. I held her hand as we walked into the ballroom at the downtown Marriott, my chest swelling with a mix of pride and nervousness. The music was upbeat, almost intoxicating. Couples twirled on the dance floor, and laughter floated above it all, easy and carefree. Lauren dragged me toward the center, teasing that I was too stiff to stand on the sidelines. I laughed along, letting her lead, and for a moment, nothing else mattered. That's when it happened. A tall man in a sharp suit approached her, someone I recognized vaguely, a senior project manager named Connor. I'd seen him around the office, but we'd never really interacted. He smiled at Lauren, complimented her dress, and I felt that tiny flicker of unease that always arrives when someone new steps into the frame. He offered his hand. Before I could react, Lauren hesitated, then smiled politely and stepped toward him, just for a moment. It was innocent enough, I told myself. After all, it was only a dance at a public event. But then I noticed Connor's colleague, a younger guy named Tyler, tall, lean, with a confident, almost rehearsed smile. He sidled up to Lauren, leaned in casually, and whispered something in her ear. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw her laugh. Not the easy, familiar laugh she saved for me, but a startled, playful one that betrayed a sudden rush of adrenaline. Tyler's hand brushed against hers, tentative yet inviting. "If you're free, take me," he said, just loud enough for me to catch. My stomach twisted with a mix of disbelief and panic I couldn't shake. My Lauren, my wife. Her eyes went wide, a flash of recognition crossing her face, and she stumbled backward as if she'd just remembered something urgent. Her smile faltered. She grabbed my arm, murmuring, "Come on, let's go sit for a second." Her voice was pitched slightly higher than normal. Real panic, the kind that makes someone fumble their own composure. I guided her to a quiet corner near the refreshment table, trying to mask the knot tightening in my chest. "Everything okay?" I asked, as casually as I could, though my voice probably betrayed me. She shook her head, took a deep breath, and laughed nervously, brushing the moment off like it had never happened. But I saw it. I saw the way her hand trembled ever so slightly when she reached for a glass of water. We sat in silence for a moment, and I couldn't help thinking about all the times I'd trusted her completely. From the mundane, like grocery shopping together at the Publix on Roswell Road, to the profound, like moving into our first house together in Marietta. And now, in this brightly lit ballroom with music pounding in the background, I realized trust could feel fragile. Fragile and surprising. Lauren's gaze flicked toward Connor and Tyler across the room. They were laughing together, leaning close. For a second, that old familiar fear rose inside me. The fear of losing her, not because she wanted to leave, but because she craved attention, recognition, a spark she might feel was fading. She started, her voice trailing off. She looked down at her hands, twisting her fingers in a nervous rhythm. It's nothing, really. I just didn't expect that. But I could feel it. The tension, the almost imperceptible hesitation. The way she instinctively reached for my hand, even as she tried to step back from theirs. It was confusing. A collision of instinct and propriety. I didn't say anything at first. I let her collect herself while the music and chatter filled the space between us. Then, quietly, I asked, "Do you want to talk about it?" Her eyes met mine, and for a moment there was nothing but honesty, fear, maybe even guilt, but also relief that I hadn't reacted harshly. I just wasn't expecting him to approach me like that. I panicked, she admitted. Panic. That word stuck with me. It wasn't lust. It wasn't desire. It was the raw human response to an unexpected moment. It's something about seeing her hesitate, even for a heartbeat, stirred unease in me. Not anger yet, not betrayal, but a prickling awareness of how fragile the thing I thought was unshakable could be. My marriage, my trust. In that moment, I realized tonight wasn't just a gala. It was a mirror, reflecting how easily moments can shift, how quickly appearances can deceive, and how even the strongest bonds can tremble under small, unforeseen choices. I could feel the music fading into the background, replaced by the rapid thump of my own heartbeat. Lauren's confession hung in the air, fragile and uncertain, like glass teetering on the edge of a table. I squeezed her hand gently, trying to steady us both. She looked at me as if weighing whether I would judge her or simply understand. I didn't know how to react, she whispered. He's always been so confident. I panicked because I wasn't expecting it. I nodded slowly, digesting her words. Panic. That was all it was. Not flirting, not betrayal, just a momentary lapse of composure. But the weight of it pressed down on me, not in anger, but in the quiet awareness that this was a reminder. Even people we trust completely can surprise us. And surprises, even tiny ones, can shake the ground beneath our feet. Across the room, Connor was talking animatedly with another colleague, completely oblivious. Tyler, meanwhile, was laughing in that effortless way, as though he'd won a prize simply by catching her attention for a brief moment. In that contrast, something shifted inside me. Not jealousy, not insecurity, but clarity. I leaned closer to Lauren. "Hey," I said softly. "Whatever happens, we deal with it together. You and me always, right?" Her eyes glistened with a faint sheen that caught the light like dew on a morning leaf. She nodded, her hand tightening around mine. "Right," she murmured. Relief, gratitude, and a little lingering fear intertwined in her voice. We stayed there for a few minutes, letting the room spin around us while we simply existed in our own small bubble. Then slowly, Lauren exhaled and laughed. The real Lauren laugh, not the startled one. And said, "I think I need to step outside for a second. Just breathe." I didn't question it. I watched her weave through the crowd, past Connor and Tyler, past the tables of appetizers and flutes of champagne, until she found a quiet spot near the exit. She leaned against the wall, resting her forehead against the cool surface for a moment, taking deep, shaky breaths. That's when it truly hit me. This wasn't about the dance. It wasn't even about Connor or Tyler. It was about us. About trust, about the invisible threads that bind two people and the moments when those threads tremble so slightly, you wonder if they'll hold. I walked over and leaned beside her, not touching, just present. "Lauren," I said quietly, It's okay to feel panic. It doesn't make you weak. It just makes you human. Her shoulders sagged. The tension in her neck eased. I know. I hate that I let it scare me. I hate that for a second I didn't think of us. You did think of us, I replied. That's why you stepped away. That's why you didn't laugh it off or let it happen. You remembered where your heart belongs. We stood like that for several minutes, letting the music and chatter wash over us without interference. I realized then that real clarity isn't about perfection or avoiding mistakes. It's about awareness, acknowledgement, and choosing each other every single time, even when fear tries to pull you away. Eventually, Lauren turned to me, her eyes soft but steady. I'm sorry for panicking. I really am. And I know I startled you. I smiled, a small, knowing smile. You startled me because I care, I said, but more importantly, you reminded me that I care enough to notice, enough to pause, enough to protect what we have. She reached for my hand again, this time without hesitation, without tremor. I needed you to notice, she admitted. And you did. In that simple exchange, in that quiet acknowledgement, I understood something profound. Love isn't flawless. It isn't smooth. It isn't immune to moments of fear, panic, or uncertainty. But love is resilient in the small ways, in the choices you make when no one else is watching, in holding a hand through a moment of panic, in listening instead of judging, in choosing understanding over anger. By the time the gala ended, I wasn't just relieved. I was grateful. Grateful that Lauren and I had navigated a small storm without breaking, without regret, without words that could wound. Grateful that the threads of our trust, though momentarily stretched, had not snapped. As we stepped out into the cool Georgia night air, I squeezed her hand, letting her feel the quiet assurance of what we'd both just realized. The strongest love isn't the one without challenges. It's the one that survives them. Lauren looked up at me, a mischievous smile playing on her lips. Next time, she teased softly, you dance with me first. I laughed, a full, genuine laugh, because in that moment, nothing else mattered. Not Connor, not Tyler, not the panic or the tension. What mattered was us. And somehow, after all the unexpected twists and fragile moments, we were still here, together, stronger, and more aware of the fragile, beautiful thing that binds two people through every stumble, every panic, and every choice.